Did you know that your attention creates your experiences? Now, I'm going to explain this concept to you in this video. But before I get into that, I want to take a moment to review what we discussed in the last video. So in the last video, we saw that what you constantly give your attention to is constantly showing up in your life as your personal experience. Now, to explain that, we defined attention as the act of placing all of one's awareness or focus on one thing in an environment that contains so many other things that one should have or could have focused upon. In other words, by selecting one thing in your environment, you are blinding yourself to every other thing in your environment. In other words, that is the only thing you're seeing. That is, what you're focusing upon is the only thing you are seeing. Now, we said that the relevance of this in our lives is that when a person selects a subject or an event in their lives and continues to talk about it, and continues to remember it, and continues to think about it, continues to discuss that issue with his friends, and continues to search the internet about that subject, and continues to read Facebook posts about it, and continues to look at Instagram about it, the person is giving their attention to this very subject and to that event. So if attention refers to the act of continuously looking at something and not talking about anything else, or not focusing on anything else, that means that this person is going to continuously see these things pop up in their awareness everywhere. Why? Because this is the only thing they are seeing. This is the only thing they are talking about. It makes sense that that is the only thing they are going to be seeing everywhere. They will see it in their own lives, they'll see it in other people's lives. It's going to be easy for them to detect things like this everywhere they go, or things relating to it everywhere they go. That is how the mind works, and that is how attention works. Of course, it's been said that where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and where you place your energy is what you're going to see more of in your life. So if a person doesn't like what continuously shows up in their lives, then they have to start paying attention to what they've been paying attention to. So the relevance of that, or the result of that, is going to be that you have to shift your attention. Because by the time you notice that your attention is always going in the wrong place, or where you don't want it to go, because you have seen that the things you're seeing in your life are the things you don't want to see, then you start paying attention to the things that you want to keep seeing in your life, because your attention is making you to see those things. So if your attention is causing you to see the things you're seeing, it makes sense that changing your attention is going to change the things that you're seeing in your life. Does that make sense? So that's pretty much what we discussed in the last video. If you haven't seen that video, I strongly recommend you watch that video. I'm going to put the link to the video in the description below. Now, this leads us to the subject of the day, that your attention creates your experiences. Now, think about this. This is going to make a lot of sense to you. First of all, let's define experience. What is an experience? To me, experience refers to a person's interaction or involvement or participation with the things in their environment. What are the things in a person's environment? Now, I'm trying to drive your mind way back to what you studied in high school in social studies, right? So can you remember what your environment is composed of? There are 4 things. Let's go. People, places, things, and time. So if these are the 4 things that are in your environment, an experience refers to one's interaction with these 4 things. That means that your experience refers to your interaction with people, places, objects, and time. And that makes a lot of sense. There are people in your life, like your family, your friends, your co-workers, your colleagues, your students, your boss, your staff, and so on and so forth. These people are in your environment. What about places? You have places that are connected to your life, like where you live, where you are staying right now to watch this video, where you go for vacation, your office, your place of work, your business area, any place that is associated with your life is also part of your environment. Also, You have things in your life. Your smartphone, you're probably watching me with one right now. Your car, your keys, your laptop, the stuff you own. And lastly, time. There are certain times in your life, like morning, afternoon, evening, times connected to so many events in your life, times you remember, times you have to go to somewhere, do something, meet someone, and all that. Now, another detail we have to look at is the medium through which we experience things in our external environment. So we experience things in our environment through our senses. So we see, smell, hear, taste, and touch. We see people in our environment, we hear things in our environment, we touch things in our environment. We basically experience things in our environment. So these four components of our environment, we experience them via our senses. Another way to say the same thing is that our senses plug us into the environment and we receive the feedback from our environment through our senses. Now, these experiences could be positive experiences or negative experiences. We hear something, maybe it sounds good, sounds interesting, or it sounds awful. We see something, it looks beautiful, or it looks ugly. We touch something, it feels warm, it feels cold, it feels very hot. It could hurt us, or it could make us feel, it could soothe us, it could make us feel good. So our senses interpret to us the details of the components of our environment, which in turn prepares us to act or to respond according to the feedback we have received from our environment. Does that make sense? So because of our senses, we know if we're having good experiences or bad experiences. Now, putting all this together, if attention is the ability to focus on one thing in an environment, and the components of the environment that catches our attention could be people, places, things, or objects, and time. And the experience we're having with these things in our environment is our interaction with these things. Does that not mean that it is our attention that creates our experiences? Think about it. Let me say that again. If when you focus on something, on your environment, that is the only thing you're seeing, and you experience things via your senses in your external environment, and you can only experience something in your environment when you have focused on it, then it is your attention that is creating your experience. Because if you did not focus on anything in your environment, if you did not give your attention to something or someone or sometime or someplace, you will not have the experience of that thing, that person, that time, and that place. Now, are you living the kind of life you want to live? Are you experiencing the things that you want to experience in life? If not, then you must have been paying attention to things that are creating your experiences. Now, I know this is kind of a hard pill to swallow right now, but think about it. If what you keep seeing in your life is what you have always been paying attention to, then that means that your experience is a product of your attention. Because you cannot experience anything that you have not been paying attention to. Because every other thing that does not have your attention to you does not exist. You will only experience things that you have been paying attention to. So as an example, let's take lack, for instance. Let's say you're experiencing lack of money right now. There's no money in your bank account. There's no money to pay the bills. You're just bankrupt. Think about it. Could it be that you have been focusing so much on the subject of lack? You have been discussing about lack. You have been paying attention to lack so much that you see lack in your life. You see it in your friend's life. You see it in the economy. You see it everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, you're seeing lack. So it makes sense now that if you have paid attention to lack so much that you see it everywhere, it makes sense that it is going to condition your mind to think about lack. because that's what you're talking about. That's what you discuss when you sit with friends. That's what you read on the internet. That's what you read the news about. That's the only thing you talk about. That's the only thing you talk about. That's the only thing you're going to think about. And if that's the only thing you're thinking about, then naturally you're going to be conditioned in such a way that your behavior will be one of lack. You cannot behave like an abundant person if you are always thinking about lack. And you cannot think about abundance or like an abundant person if you're always talking lack, if you're always discussing lack, if you're always meeting people who are also talking about lack, if you're always reading the news about lack or how the economy is bad. You will think about lack. It's that simple. What you give your attention to is what is constantly showing up in your awareness and will eventually become your personal experience. That's it. But this is good news too. If this is the truth, then the antithesis is also true. If you switch your attention from lack to abundance, then you are also going to begin to see abundance everywhere you go. And this is where it begins to get interesting. If you begin to focus on abundance and talk abundance, think abundance, meet abundant people, talk about it every time, think about it a lot. When you sit down with your friends, that is the only thing you're talking about. It makes sense now that your mind has a new focus. And because your mind has a new focus, it cannot think about anything else, because that's what you talk about, that's what you read about, that's what you chat about, that's what you basically do. You are now beginning to, surround yourself with the things that make you focus on abundance. You will think like an abundant person. Naturally, you will begin to act like an abundant person. Naturally. There's no magic to it. This is the same thing that happens. This is very simple. Now I know you may be asking, is it that simple? Of course, it's that simple. Try it. Now, it's not going to be easy to switch your focus from what you have been focusing upon, because if you've been focusing on the subject of lack for a very, very long time, now it has to take you some discipline also to lock your mind on the subject of abundance for a little while before it holds your attention long enough for you to begin to notice these opportunities of abundance in your life and in every other person's life and in your awareness. Okay, but when that happens, then it continues like a cycle. It doesn't stop, because that is now where your focus is. So once you shift your attention from lack to abundance, your story will change. It has to change. It must change. There is no reason why it won't change. It is law. There is no magic behind it. If you do that properly, then your brain will now begin to notice these four things in your environment in line with your present subject of focus, which is abundance. In other words, you begin to notice people in your life who are abundant. You begin to see places. You begin to notice people in your life. They will just begin to pop up from nowhere. And you are going to start asking, what is really happening? Where have all these people been all this while? They've been around you. Listen, everything has always been in your environment, but you have always been blinded by those things. Remember, attention means that when you focus on something, that's the only thing you're going to see. Every other thing is there, but you didn't see it. You can't see it. Your mind is going to filter those things that are not part of your awareness out of your awareness and make you focus on the thing that you want to see. So all those people, places, time, and things that are synonymous with the subject of abundance have always been around you. But because you are focusing on lack, talking about it, that is the only thing you will see. Isn't this amazing? So once you start to focus your mind on this thing, you start to think on abundance, you start to think about it. Before you know it, you start behaving like an abundant person. And people will notice and say, what is wrong with him? Something is different about him. Did he change his medication? I mean, where has he been? What happened? Nothing happened. You just change your attention. And that is all you need to do. Okay? So this is how change happens. There's no other way. So the moment you change the way you look at things, the things you look at must change. It is law. And this applies to every other subject in your life. So begin to examine your life today and look at the things that you're experiencing. If there are things that you don't want to experience in your life, just know that you need to start paying attention to what you have been paying attention to, and then switching your attention to the things you want to experience in your life, and watch your life change. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I make any videos. And also leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.